it's time to be really super excited. Claire Jordan isn't dead, she's not missing. Got a lot of good news. As far as what they've done here in Tillamook to us, that's pretty significant. The things that she said about TFCC are absolutely true, and the same about the other services. As far as them not doing their jobs as mandated about anything, she's absolutely right. They don't. They claim that they did, but there's no proof. There is proof that she tried. There is proof that I tried. But we're supposed to just take their word for it. And that's easy to do when they call you mentally ill and nobody wants to listen because obviously you're mentally ill. Right? Well, that's not the way that it should be. Let me tell you something about Claire. She's pretty friggin' strong. The stuff that we don't see eye to eye on, we don't friggin' have to. For her. Absolutely. The thing is, what was she going through when she was here that prevented her from being overwhelmed by her own stuff? That's one of the things that I try to point out. Is it these people are evil, or is it they have their own things going on that are truly that detrimental? Because there's a difference. The cops try to paint it one way, and the reality of the situation is quite different. I got to see much of the situation with Claire. I got to be an active participant in some of the situations with Claire. I also get to see what she freaks out about. Yeah, she did stuff that I am angry about. I also understand. I'm a very understanding person. I'm also a big jerk, and I don't hide that. If you don't mess around with drugs, and I don't mess around with drugs. A lot of other people did. Places that she has been to try to get help give her about the same treatment as I do. She said that the one that's there is not primarily heroin based. Whereas the homeless shelter here, almost 100% of the clients are heroin addicts. That is the wrong place to send somebody who's autistic. Especially when they're in a state of crisis and overwhelmed, especially if they've been through a traumatic experience like, well, having their best friend killed or having their kids abducted illegally. Tillamook committed a lot of crimes against her and also against me. And she was able to get to Colorado and rectify the situation. The mandated reporters that she went to when she tried to see if they had done anything. No, they hadn't. I'm sure that there's a lawyer who will take the case somewhere. The problem is that people do need to work together. There's a lot of these people out here who have problems with sobriety. And they're not going to be necessarily useful. But this is our peer support out here. Basically like an AA peer support where you go and you whine about your problems and nothing ever happens. You get a sponsor, but your sponsor probably won't show up if there's an issue. They're too busy, they got their own problems, or you need to go sleep it off. You guys get to hear me rant and rage and wail and hurl insults. So can she. Thing is that much as my experience in the situation is very real, so is hers. Even if we don't see eye to eye, we're not living in the same bodies or living the exact same experiences. And for one person who's experiencing trauma to try to understand another person who's experiencing trauma, that's pretty easy. The true rectification of the situation is in taking it to court and doing something to seal up all of these small town traps. That's truly what they are, small town traps. Corrupt officers, lazy officers, services where everybody's related to everybody. Now the great thing about Claire is that, first of all, she was able to get to somewhere safe where she knew people, had a support network. That is a very good thing. The fact that none of the mandated reporters that she went to, not CARE, not TFCC, none of these places, not the Department of Health and Human Services, as I told you, none of the mandated reporters in this state did their jobs. None of them. The way they treated her was intentionally preying upon her disabilities. The primary disability at that point was discrimination. Oh, you're a homeless person? We don't care. Me Too is only for women in houses. That's really the overall gist of it. Claire didn't come out here to be abused. She didn't come out here to have her kids stolen from her illegally or for the services to commit such audacious and outrageous felonies. They stuff us all into the drug box. If you're out here, you must be a druggie. It must be schizophrenic or delusional. Yeah, that's it. That'll give us more money. That's not okay. They committed Medicare and Medicaid fraud against all of us. When we were sent to them as mandated reporters and they didn't do their jobs, they did take our Medicare and Medicaid. Now, as you guys know, I wanted to do some talking of my own, and I interrupted her in a way that you're not supposed to. You know how I always complain that people interrupt me at the wrong times because they have to spit out that nugget? You get to hear how Claire tries to speak clearly, and she does a very good job when she's overwhelmed. She knows that I vent on my YouTube, that I scream and shout, and that I call lots of real mean, nasty names. You will either hear me or the world will hear me. I'm very mean like that. The thing is that she was very overwhelmed when she was here, for good reason. When I tell you that most of the addicts here, or most of the homeless here are addicts, I mean it. For somebody like myself who doesn't do drugs, or for somebody like Claire who doesn't do drugs, she's just trying to get her kids back. But she's got to go to services that here are primarily set up just for heroin addicts. Almost 100% of the clientele out at the shelter here are heroin addicts. When we get sent to peer support, it's heroin addicts. No, they're not reliable. They have very major issues that prevent them from being able to help others or to be helpful to others. For somebody like me, I get treated like I'm with the addicts, like I don't have any attachment to any of them as human beings when I'm the one out here sharing my food with them. I'm the one out here trying to clear space with a screwed up bag so I can give them a ride somewhere.
going on, guy?
Not a lot. I just figured, you know what? I heard a pleasant voice and saw a pleasant face, and I had to say thank you for existing.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I love your shirt. Yeah, no.
Goose. Goose.
I live in a world full of all sorts of different types of people, and one of the things that's scaring me the most is the segregation and degradation of our society. We've had men and women at war for my entire life. We've had everybody trying to push this race thing onto the poor people. Poverty at the bottom sucks. Poverty from the top is a complex issue because when you're at the top, you make everything complicated. You don't have any attachment to any of the real issues. Claire Jordan is not dead. No matter how angry I am or was about anything that happened between herself and I or any of her situation, the thing is, I still understand. I'm still on her side. And I'm also, as she said, looking out for me, right? I am looking out for me. By looking out for your rights, by looking out for my rights, because these are our rights. We work together or we get nothing. Hopefully what we're going to get out of this is that they'll put me in a facility for the rest of my life so that anything that happens to any of my predators, well, they won't get sidetracked coming after me because I'm easy to target. They won't go after my little sister or my niece or threaten any of these other people anymore, because how can you blame me for anything if I'm locked up? If I'm in a 24-hour nursing home or adult care home or a prison, you'll know 100% beyond any shadow of a doubt that I didn't have anything to do with it, and it's not okay to go after my friends like a fucking Nazi. Like a Joseph Stalin, like a Heinrich Himmler. We're all people. Claire Jordan is pretty. She's got blonde hair and she's got blue eyes. I'm not saying that as a judgment. I'm saying that as I am an artist and I understand. I understand people's ideas of beauty and their understandings of who is right and who is wrong. I'm a human rights advocate. When there are people who do wrong things, I speak up. When they do wrong things because they're afraid, I speak up about why they're afraid too. But I still speak up. When they're angry at me for speaking up, I still speak up. Also, I'm not sure if you knew this, but I call people names. Some names are subtle and some are not. Some things that people insinuate or tell you to do are outright insulting, and really, insulting them back is not a wrong thing to do at that point. Have you tried going to the cops? Yeah, the term mentally ill, duh. The thing is that autism itself is not the problem. The problem is PTSD. When you've got an ex who's messing around with some crazy people, you know, the Mason's Lodge, when you have a drunk Mason who's trying to talk you into joining their club. I've been there in Chapel, Nebraska. When I talk about the Masons and the Illuminati, what I'm talking about is that there's no big conspiracy there. It's not some big major conspiracy. It's just, well, as you guys know, on a local level, yes, they do have power and control. I don't mean the Masons Lodge, I just mean local groups. And the reason that the local groups have power and control is because they are working together. Working together is the only way to affect change. When you've got a bunch of Second Amendmenters that the only part of the First Amendment they care about is the ability to make fun of people who don't own guns, yeah, they're not really using the Second Amendment or the First Amendment. Not properly, anyway. Now, do my opinions matter in this? Oh, hell no. My opinions don't matter. What matters right now is that we can celebrate at least a little bit. I mean, not only was she able to get the hell out of here, she was able to get back to where she has at least something of a support network. Or it was a little easier for her to get a job. See what she did in Colorado there. It was the same thing that I did with Janet Roberts when I turned 18. I didn't have an ID, so I had to go off of Janet Roberts having a copy of my ID from when I was a kid. Because, yeah, I worked for her when I was 15, 16, and 17. So when I was set off as an adult into the wild world out yonder, that was the only way I could get a job. And then most of my money ended up going to making sure my little brother and little sister had food, even though I didn't live with my mom anymore. I can go ahead and spin her story however I want, into her being some sort of an evil person, but really, is that necessary? Because she's not. People do desperate things because they're desperate, not because they're evil. Ted Bollinger may be evil, but he didn't do the evil things that he did to people after Natalie's death because he was evil. He did them because he was afraid of consequences. But he never stopped doing the drugs. You see, we're having to deal with people who do have severe mental problems. A lot of our mental problems come from being abused by people who have severe narcissism. They pick out people who are easy to victimize, people who are easy to walk over. But when you pull out the mama bear in somebody, you better know you made a mistake. That's the thing about me not having a family of my own, having just relatives that, well, they might pretend to care, but probably not. They'll just likely bitch at me for being imperfect. My mom wanted to complain that she didn't have normal kids. I'm like, you don't get to grow up with Angela K. Wade as a mother and have normal kids. You don't get to be normal when she's your mother. Now, there's a lot of people that I am glad that they got out of the situations that they were in. I'm glad when they become, well, one of the success stories. Ryan Ingersoll, was she a success story? No, she died. How about Natalie Bollinger? No, she died. Y'all got no idea how excited I am that Claire Jordan is alive. That she's not dead, that she's doing better, that she's back close to something of a support network. She was able to get a job because people knew who she was. And when she says it took 5 weeks, yeah, it takes some time. There's stuff that's necessary and essential. But you know what? If you have support doing it, it doesn't take very long. 5 weeks is a long time, yeah, but it's a lot better than 6 years of waiting on empty promises. She did what she did out of desperation. They took her kids. That I can understand, you can understand. And any of you who are watching my channel right now, if you guys don't like me, you don't want to support me in the least bit, you don't care about me as a human being, I still hope that you help to support Claire because she really has been through it. She really was here in Tillamook. She really does exist, and I'm really excited about her not being a corpse. I'm excited about her not going in the ground the way that Rory Jeffson did, the way that Natalie Bollinger did, the way that Anna Hunka did. The way that Tim Cosick did, the way that Tommy Gallia did, the way that Quake Cox did, the way that Christine Buhit did. At least she's still a human with more story to tell, rather than being a statistic, and she can make a difference because she's still here to tell. Her story still matters. None of my heroes are perfect. Her kids were first, and her kids stayed first, and she got her kids back because they were first. What was Amy Spencer's problem? Her drugs came first. What was Rihanna's problem? Her alcohol came first. No matter what differences Claire Jordan and I have, she's a badass. I'm sure there's a way to support her and send her something to help her get going. Housewarming gift. See, here's the thing, is that she's not mentally ill. The way that you use it, for certainly not. The things that she went through, she absolutely went through. And the things that she told me, I can verify that she told me because I recorded them. Got her into the habit of recording too. Don't go in unprotected. Well, you guys want to fight about the Second Amendment. I'm worried about the First Amendment, and it's too easily infringed upon based on word of mouth and opinion and bias. Them recordings are important, as are mine. Ha ha, Tillamook! She got her kids back! You bastards! Ha! Alright, I think this is a time for a celebratory Maori face. Ah! I learned that on a YouTube video. I want to impress upon y'all how important her story is. Also, with what she's gone through. If you guys can push this story to every lawyer you know. Hell yes, she deserves the best. Her example is fucking badass. And she at least admits the reality of the situation. Instead of the, it's all your fault, Sean, it's all your fault. And you know what? When I told you that I was taking her advice with these places, that it had already been my experience with some of these places. It's bad enough what they did to me. They took her kids. Go Claire.